So we got the car started, but there's a few extra things that we need to do. One of which is install a pedal bracket. Now Dave has, let's have a look here. Dave has actually plugged in the pedal. Now this is from a 2008, I think, STI. They're all around the same anyway. They've all got these plastic backings. That's the original pedal with a cable. It's got holes in it because it probably had a cover on it at some point. But actually, they look almost the same, which is cool. To make this work, this is from PT Motorsport, which is an Australian company, and that's an adapter bracket that will adapt from GC8 to this pedal. It does all the hard work for you, so you don't have to make your own bracket. So this already works, Dave's already wired it in. All I gotta do is remove the factory pedal, which is up there, unbolt it, put the adapter on, put the pedal on there, and we're good to go. Gotcha! I am only a few jobs away from getting this thing driving. Now it's got a pedal, the next job is to get the intercooler on and the air temp sensor installed, and then get a cat converter into the dump pipe. It turns out it's not actually a 3-inch dump pipe, it's some JDM metric size, and it's slightly smaller than the cat converter, so it will need some creative welding to make it work. Okay, so Dave's helping me now because I've held him up. Basically we need the dump on so we can have the exhaust going out the correct end of the car and not sounding like a tractor. And once the dump is on, we should be able to actually start it and run it for a significant amount of time to make sure everything's working and nothing's leaking out of it. Without all the chunky factory heat shields, the dump is easy to get on and off. Probably handy after the next track day, but I'm so confident this thing will be excellent, I'm plumbing up the boost controller to the Haltech in preparation for adding some extra air when and how we want it. The engine bay is starting to look tidy. Well, I'm not sure your average Subaru engine bay could ever really be called tidy, but things are in the right places and it looks like it's going to work, so that's good enough for this mad old two-door nugget. So a few things have happened. We've got the airbox on. I've put a bunch of clamps and hoses and little things that needed to go in certain places, and most importantly the dump pipe is now done, which means we've got an exhaust that points out the back. So now we can run it for a little while and just make sure all the triggering is right, it's synchronized properly, all our little solenoids and stuff work. And then I've got another special guest coming later this Savo who's going to do a bit of a walk around of this car just to make sure I've got it right, and I hold their opinion very highly, so fingers crossed we've done a good job. Look who it is. It's like you could smell it.
I'm pretty sure I just heard it run.
You did hear it run. Not completely successfully, but very close.
Sick.
I have been saying all day, I've been saying, Benny's going to be here later, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. Not for bad reasons. No, not for bad reasons, because he's seen so many Subarus in this state in his whole life. He's already picking things. He's going, why is that hose there?
I don't hate it. You've done pretty well.
Don't hate it. It's actually kind of a compliment from Benny.
Done well.
Because if you didn't like it...
You know what's my favourite?
No, here we go. You like it?
Yeah.
Why?
That was my idea, bro.
What do you mean it's your idea?
Twin Scroll's the best.
Twin Scroll's mad. Why do you like it?
I don't know. It just sounds not like every other Subaru.
Yeah.
It's just different. There's got to be a reason why Subaru went that way.
But why didn't they stay that way?
Probably cost.
Yeah.
The headers would be heaps dearer. So like all their special stuff had twin scroll on the 2-litre stuff.
Oh, I see.
And then when they went to 2.5, I think maybe there was some sort of, maybe it ran out of puff in the top end, or like when they're chasing big power.
Yeah.
But what's your goals for this thing?
We'll find out tomorrow. I don't know, over 200, under 300?
Oh, easy.
That's reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, on E85?
Oh, it would if I need it.
Ish? Yeah. You'll be right.
Low 200s probably on petrol, and I'm sure you could turn the wick up. But yeah, like looking at this, it's busy, and also I realised it's Subaru, but also because this is from a different generation. Therefore, some things make sense for that car, but then you've got less engine bay space.
Do you remember when we did the little Vogue? It looked amazing when the engine was sitting in there, and then we actually had to make it work. It looked like a dog's breakfast.
Yeah.
It worked well though. That was a sick car.
So I guess it's also like, as you know from owning these for a long time, you iterate and then you do it and then you fix it again. So I think that's the stage we're at. But Dave has nearly got it working. I think the only thing we're having issues with is a rear cam position sensor that's just unhappy because of wiring. But that's just a Subaru thing. It's got so many sensors because newer engine, right? So many
more, yeah. So you've got ABCS on every cam position. So you've got 4 cam sensors, 4 cam phases, all this stuff going on. Yep. And then you've obviously got your crank trigger. It's a cool thing. Yeah, it's fighting for a lot of space over here. This is the messiest bit because I've had to change the way the power steering works, because normally the reservoir would be here, but then the intake doesn't fit. So I've got to use a new one, but then I've put a cooler in it, Nice.
And
that'll keep the pump alive for longer.
Yeah, I've had the cooler blow up. I think when we were on the way to a meet, remember? In one of my Subarus.
You don't need Gary's power steering pump reconditioning services.
That's right.
Proprietary limited.
So hopefully that just survives. But then it gets real busy over here. I like this airbox thing though. It's kind of cool.
That's sick. Is that for a GC8?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
for GC8 and just puts the pod.
That's tidy, eh?
Just makes it legal also because it's enclosed. But
off the
just
shelf,
so
man.
isn't
It'll take you hours to make that. Just out of sheet metal. Just having to measure it and dick around.
And that's just plastic.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty
Ticks
cool.
the boxes.
And so what else? So yeah, busy over here.
Bit of air temp action. Is that in the cooler?
Yeah, I put it in the
Sick.
cooler.
Yeah, nice.
And I actually didn't destroy the cooler doing it. I put like an adapter plate on it.
Nice.
There.
I like it. Oh, no blow valve.
Nah.
Because you got no return anyway.
Yeah, I got nowhere to put it. I mean, you could get it under there, but again, it's so busy.
It's a mission.
You'd have to get it up. So
I like it. Nice job, bro.
So yeah, we're like 95% of the way there.
Sick.
Anything you see straight up?
You know what you're doing, bro. You just second guess yourself. It'll be fine. If it's got to the point where it's cranking and it's obviously been running because I can feel temp.
Yeah.
So if the oil hasn't fallen out of it and the big end's not trying to get out the top, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit rubby over here. Like I would go like this is also leftovers from the last fuel system. It doesn't actually need this. Like
this is Lavorg stuff, right?
It is Lavorg stuff. So that's actually like in a deadhead type thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But really, it should be in a proper parallel with the extra port used.
Didn't you do parallel rails?
I kind of did.
Semi-parallel deadhead.
Like it's a wide into the rails that come here, but then you don't.
Oh, so that's
you know what I'm saying?
you've just capped the return. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I didn't have enough ports on my reg the way I first set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, messy, but once you put the cooler on, it looks good. What's that?
Wiring harness clip for a 2-pin connector. Yeah. Save it for Ron. God, no.
Oh.
Never let it go. Hey, got him.
All right, see if we can make it work.
It's neat. I like it.
Say it, don't spray it. Top mount intercoolers are great for packaging, but they do suffer from heat soak. One way to help that situation is to install a water spray system. Benny's going to do some clever machining on an old fitting to make it work with my original washer bottle. Back in the 90s, Subaru put a water spray system onto some of their STIs, so I'm going to take a leaf out of their book and install this system from Shan Motorsport. It uses a high-power DC pump, an extruded rail and 4 nozzles that create a mist of water. It also has fittings that look like they came out of a fridge. The idea is that evaporative cooling takes place, and cooler air means more power, which is the aim of the game. I'm mounting it to the back of the scoop so it's reversible if it doesn't work, and we've run an extra wire from the Haltech to trigger it using some smarts, so it only turns on when it's actually going to make a difference. Spraying everywhere. Whoa, it's going out! It's spraying the wrong way.
No.
Well, when there's air coming the other way. Alright, let's see if it'll get off the hoist. It does sound different. Clutch works. It's weird, it still sounds like a Subaru, but a bit different. I like it. One more small thing I forgot to do. My original seats were looking a little bit tired and a lot ripped, so when these STI RA seats popped up for sale, I grabbed them. They bolt straight in and will also give me a chance to properly clean the inside of this car before we head to the dyno. As a final touch, the worn out floor mats are out and some brand new ones are going in their place. The inside is now looking a little more fresh, so now it's time to hit the road. I'm on my way to go and see Scott at Haltech to get this thing tuned. I'm constantly blown away with how good the base maps are. Dave did a little bit of tweaking with injector sizes and stuff like that, but basically this is the map that you just get with an ECU and you can drive it. If you set it up right, it's so awesome. The other thing I've done are also called Shannon's Insurance. They insure all our cars to get this off laid up cover because it has been covered laid up for 4 years. Now the value is more or less the same. They do agreed value as well. The value hasn't really changed. I've got to update them with the modifications and the other stuff that I've done, but that's all covered. So now I'm on the road, on the way to Haltech. Let's go get this thing tuned. Haltech with Scott. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, bro.
I've brought you a Subaru, your absolute favourite. You have seen this car before.
Yeah, I love this car. So two-door STI is one of the most iconic cars ever. This R32 GTR, Evo 5, 6.
Yep. Take my money, all of them.
You know me, the Subaru engine, the body shell of this car. Can you imagine what this was like back in the day when they released this and you saw this for the first time and compared to the other cars then and went, what is this thing? Like,
and two-doors, so unique. Last time we were here, 181 kilowatts. That was with the stock 2 litre and some very mild mods. Now we have a 2.5 litre that's out of a 2018 STI. You have some experience with them?
We do. We've got a 2017 STI development car. So here at Haltech, we've made a plug-in ECU for the 2017 STI that controls the whole thing.
Including the diff control stuff.
Diff control, all of the engine mapping, all of that stuff, so that you can just plug that in and she's ready to rock and roll. So yep, we've got quite a lot of experience with this particular engine, with the variable cam control. So 4 variable camshafts on this thing, the electronic throttle, obviously the Subaru Boxer, what do we say, attitude that this thing has.
Yes, well said.
Attitude. Well said. 2.5 litre though, like it's a good thing. They got good down low grunt and it makes it a really good drivable car.
So this has a VF49, which you guys have seen is a twin scroll setup, aftermarket headers, aftermarket dump. It should flow a bit nicer than a stock one. Big intake, big exhaust. The turbo itself, I would say, would be a restriction, but I'm kind of going for that to try and get some response and some punch, because I think that's what's going to make it. So when you're tuning it, what are you kind of looking for?
So what I want to do with this, like this is never going to be a powerhouse, and I'm always the first one to say, in a 4-cylinder Subaru, you've got to have patience if you want a powerful Subaru, like a ridiculous power.
Yeah.
This thing with the 2.5 litre, so massive capacity for a 4-cylinder, that small lure turbo, so it's going to come on real hard, and at $2,000 we're going to have boost and it's going to be grunty. We won't be revving it to the moon. We won't be putting a huge amount of boost in it because, like you said, the rehousing of that turbo is going to become the restriction, but the thing will drive fantastic, and I'm kind of hoping that we pick up 50 kilowatts on what it ever had.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So a week ago, it didn't have an engine in it, thanks to the hard work of Dave, who I owe so many cases of beer, it's not funny. It's wired. We only started it last night, literally last night.
Okay.
We had not started it until then, but everything seems good. It drove here beautifully. Like, you could tell me it was tuned, and if you never really got up it, and you know, I can tell the timing's a bit wound back, but aside from that, it drives like a stock car.
How good is Davo?
So good. So big injectors, big fuel system.
This stuff?
Oh yeah, and I was gonna, we did put a water spray on it. So
all right.
I actually got sent this by a fan of our show when we were doing the RAV4. Remember they had the big top mount that heat soaked real bad? We ran out of time to put it on, but I thought, oh, this might be a good experiment. So I have mounted the water spray on there. I don't think we need it straight up because it's, I don't know. But this is fully controlled by the Haltech, so there should be smarts that you can insert in there when things are a certain temperature to make it spray. I guess we'll find out today if it makes a difference. Yeah,
so reasonably good temperature today. It's probably 22, 24 Celsius, something like that all day. So we'll run it, you leave it off, and we might do some back-to-back runs and just use the water spray and see what the difference is.
I'd love to track and log and see what happens here. It might do nothing. The cooler is too big that we don't get the big opening because it's the early model car. But I'm really curious to see what happens. So I'll let you work your magic, and hopefully it's an uneventful day. But it literally started yesterday.
Well, I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks, and this is going to be my most exciting day because a two-door STI is one of the iconic cars that it's nice to be a part of this kind of bit of the scene.
Yeah, no, I'm keen. All right, let's do it. Let's go. So as we mentioned, this car has actually been on the dyno before, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. I brought it here maybe 4 years ago, and we had a pretty eventful day. So it made 181 kilowatts, which is quite impressive and actually more than I thought it would. Stock, they usually make a little less. This did have some modifications, exhaust, intake, stuff like that, which helped. But as you saw as well, wasn't enough to keep it together at the track.
Yeah, I've killed it.
Then the engine that was in the Lavorg, we've also had on the dyno as well when it was stock or with some very mild modifications as well. So it made about 204 kilowatts approximately and was a really good thing in the Lavorg. So even with that power level in a car like this that's much lighter would already be excellent. But I think with some of the modifications we've done to this thing, we should see an even better number.
Yep, so the first thing we'll do is calibrate the gears so that we've got everything else working.
So because we used a plug-in like patch harness, all the connections to the car, not the engine, because that is different, just work. So if you have a stock
WRX of this era and you get the right patch harness, all that stuff basically works. You still need to calibrate some things, but it's all wired in. So Dave has managed to use all that, but then he had to change things for the engine because we swapped engines. So, time for our first low boost power run.
Low boost, so we've done some like steady state tuning.
Yeah.
So we're going up all through the load sites and I'm doing all of the manifold pressures, all of the RPM, until we get up to a particular point where we've spoken about this before, where you feel guilty holding the thing at 5, 6, 7,000 RPM.
Yep.
So once we've done all the cruising areas, we'll now do some sweep runs or some power runs. Really low boost, really conservative ignition timing, just to get a bit of a feel to make sure that our cams are going to be controlling correctly the whole way through. We've got no sensor problems, no wiring problems.
Yeah.
Then we'll work really hard on the base at 10 pounds or whatever the gate pressure is, and then build the tune up from there, because I'd rather spend a lot of time at low boost pressures rather than trying to correct for something at high boost pressures that you should have sort of picked up when it was low, you know?
Yes.
Yep, so...
We proved the cam control works, which was great. Thank you, Dave, again for wiring that, because it has so many solenoids and so many sensors and all this stuff going on. Thank you, Subaru, for that one. So Dave has nailed that. That all works. We've got the bonnet up at the moment because everything is fresh and new, and you've got the smells of stuff burning off it, so we could smell some plastic. I'm pretty sure it's just a cable tie that was sitting close to the headers, so that's gone. But we want to keep the bonnet up for this run just to make sure that everything's good, and then we'll close it so we get a better idea of what the temperatures are doing and work out if we need to use our mad water spray. So shall we do a run?
All right, first soft one, here we go.
Let's go.
Start our data logging, get into it, wide open, let it go.
Now it smells. No, I just made the same power.
Is that the same number, identical?
Within a kilowatt.
Well, that must be all it makes then.
Did that just spray?
That just sprayed because I've got it configured.
Just saw water like gushing out the front of the car because it's leftover configuration. It's gone, oh yeah, I'm making power, let's go. 180 kilowatts, there we go. We just matched the power with basically no more tuning than that.
12.7 pounds, 6,000 RPM limiter.
I don't think we'll be putting that much more boost through it. We're not going to be putting 20 pounds in this thing. It just doesn't, it just won't need it. We'll be able to see a boost curve on here, won't we?
Yep, on there and on here.
Right.
So, here's our boost as it come on. 3 pounds at 2 grand. It's got, it could make as much as it wants. It makes 8 pounds at 2,800 RPM. So it's on and it's there.
Wow.
And then it boost creeps by the top and it's got 12 pounds up the very top.
Okay. Air temp as well?
Inlet air temp, and we did start that run hot. So we've started at 54 and we've ended at 57.
Okay, so it's going to sit in the 50s unless we actively try and cool that down. We're in the 50s. Not unusual for top mount stuff, I might add. All right, let's do another run. More timing, same boost. We've checked all the vitals. Oil pressure's great, oil temp's great, coolant temp is great. That's all fine. Bit smelly, but aside from that, really good.
All right, you ready?
Yep. That's about what it's going to make in that area with that boost, right?
That's about where she is, yeah. And the
What do you think the humps are about?
the hump is the boost control. It doesn't want to be on spring pressure there. It wants to have a bit of boost in it.
Right. Run number 3, a few small changes, but the biggest one is we now have boost control and we're targeting 15 PSI on petrol. Hopefully we get over the 200 mark.
And we'll pick up a bunch of that bottom end. We'll get that nice and flat, hopefully.
Great.
All right, here we go.
Whoa. Awesome. Yeah, man. I don't even care that peak number's more or less the same. Look how much bottom end it picked up. straight away it just
Flattened out a lot.
went to party, huh? And this is just with some very basic open loop boost control?
We're starting in closed loop
Starting
just
closed.
so that because this thing's got such a small gate, it's targeting 14 pounds. We've got exactly 14.
Yep.
But let's figure out how much wastegate it took, like how much bleeding it took to get there.
Sure. Being a factory wastegate as well, they're not intended to ever go to 20 pounds or whatever like you would with a different sort of turbo setup. So that's on purpose because I know we don't need that kind of boost pressure.
Already, so our manifold pressure looks pretty good, so we're up there. But what I fear already, this funny shape at the top.
What are we running out of? Turbo? It makes sense.
Before we said, all right, to get 14 pounds, we needed about 50% bleed.
Yeah.
So we started at 50%.
Yep.
It actually wanted a little bit more. It wanted 52. So I'm going to go back to my boost control and give it a helping hand and bring that up to 52.
Yep. This is where it's coming on.
Yep. So want to give it something to start with. That was happy, it was happy, it was happy. But then what about up here? What happened up here? As we rev it, the boost is going down, that duty is going up, and it can't make them. So at the end, we actually ended up with 12 pounds up the top. So, what did you call before? You said, oh, it might be something, might be the exhaust housing might be a restriction.
Oh yeah. We've also got a bigger capacity engine than what that turbo technically is designed for.
Yeah.
It's meant for a smaller engine. We're already putting way more gas through. We've made the engine more efficient. It's breathing better on either side of the turbo. So of course it's going to be that point. But I fully anticipated that coming in.
Yeah.
But it might also limit our top end too, right?
Heavily. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think because that's already we're trying to put more boost into the thing. We put more duty into the wastegate. We're making less boost pressure. So I'd argue that we're probably already
Hitting the limits.
it's choked up. It's a restriction there.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm going to try and feed a little bit of ignition timing in it and see if it's happy. See if that's what it wants.
Sure. Oh, cool.
Beautiful.
Very good.
So we knew we were conservative on the ignition timing, like borderline, she's low. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go another 2 on top of that, but before we'll just make sure see what that did to the boost control. Still 14 pounds, still exactly the same. Yeah, they're the 2 motors.
Oh, legit? Is that actually them?
Yep, 7 grand.
Holy
7
shit.
grand. And the other one running away still, but like 3 to 4.
But that's clearly coming on hard.
Yeah, but 3 grand to 4.5 grand. You're like, different car.
Party time. That's what it's all about. Why I'm happy about that is that's the whole point of Twin Scroll. After a couple of power runs, we're just under 200 kilowatts. The car used to make 180, but the power curves look very different. We'll get to that later. What we want to work out now is if our little water spray solution is actually going to work. Now, we have covered this before. We did a couple of DIY water spray episodes a little while back, but this is a bit more of a serious kit.
It's got really good atomization up the top. The difference with this thing as well, obviously it's got the top mount intercooler, which is a big, massive core. But when you touch this, after we've given it a little bit of work, there's only so much you can do up there.
They soak.
We've got the hood up at the moment because we're looking for we're looking for smoke, we're looking for smells while we're on the dyno. So we will drop it down so that we can get airflow through the scoop and get it down through the core. But there's only so much you can do until you put a front mount intercooler on it.
Yeah. But then you've cut up your 1 of 400 thing.
I'm all for performance. I'm keen as. I don't think you can cut this type of car. So this is the best thing that we've got. And I don't think it's a terrible thing. We can set it up a couple of different ways. So we can set it up over a certain boost pressure. I don't want to have it just on and flooding because the biggest problem with these kits is that we're going to run out of water.
Yes.
So we want to use it sparingly and we want it to come on and we want to give it a little bit of a just to wet everything down so that we've got airflow and we've got that evaporative cooling and it is going to make a difference.
Yes.
We don't need to spray buckets and buckets of water on it. We could set it up through the software if you want, so you can just have a fun button. So you press the button it sprays water on it. That's something that you could do with any kit that you could make, so
The
you
fact
don't
that
need an ECU.
we have so much data though. We've got road speed, we've got air intake temp, we've got boost pressure, we've got so many things. And I'm imagining on a table you can go, if all these conditions are met, give me some water.
Spot
I
on.
think that's the way to do it. I'll also point out these two divots here, that's where the factory ones go. So this was a thing on this era of car, not this particular one, but I think the JDM ones, there was actually water spray. So we're just mirroring what the factory used to do. It's worth pointing out the intercooler is much bigger than the factory one, and this shroud, this could get some work to make the shroud work better, but you're then limited by the little scoop. In later models, all the scoops got bigger, probably for that reason. So I'm interested to see what this will do. I think it's just interesting. If we see a couple of degree drop, like that's power, like, you know, you're going to get some efficiencies, but is it going to work? We're going to find out. We're going to give it a run. Scotty's done an amazing job of tuning this. I'm so excited to drive it. The curves look amazing, but I reckon while we're here, give it a spray.
All right, full fan. So what I'm going to do is say that 80% throttle, and let's say 5 pounds, so that it's going to give it hell, or 10 pounds, so it only does it up the top. I think.
Can it be a bit less throttle? Because sometimes with a turbo car, you're loading it up without 100%.
Oh, we can do
throttle.
any at all. 40% and 5 grand.
Perfect.
Just give it a bit of an oomph now. So basically what I want to do is wet everything down, because then it gives it the chance to get the water over it. Okay, so here we go. 3, 2, 1.
There it goes.
All right.
I think it went.
So it's off now.
Yeah, I can see the water.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yep, there it goes.
And off.
Awesome.
So now that's giving us a bit of time. Oh, I can actually feel it on my legs.
Yeah. Dude, look at the intake temp.
All right, let's go one more time like that. Just humour me. On full ball. 32.
Oh yeah, it's very cooling, isn't it?
Something's
It
going
works on your
in there.
it works on your skin, so it makes sense that it works on that.
All right, ready to hit it?
Yeah, let's go. I dropped another degree. Let's go.
Wide open. 1, 2, 3. Let it rip.
Not bad. Not bad at all. There we go. We cracked 200 kilowatts. I mean, if nothing else, it proves that by dropping all those intake temps, it just wants to make more power.
It's pretty impressive.
It is. I mean,
And you know what? Likewise, if you said, all right, well, top mount to front mount cooler on this car,
yeah,
you would look at it and go, yeah, you know what? It's a much bigger core, so you can cool it down, so you can heat soak across it a lot further and go, you know what? Yeah, probably pick up 10, 20, 30 kilowatts.
interesting. And you could obviously do back-to-back runs constantly, and you might see a diminishing return when everything gets really hot. But there's only a couple minutes between runs there, and you can see the number.
Yeah, so let's go now. I'm going to pull the data log out from that. So we've got, it's still exactly the same boost pressure. It's still 14 pounds.
What I'm really happy about is it seemed to suck the water in. Because if we're not moving and there's no fan, it will just spray everywhere. Yeah. But only a tiny bit came out the front, which is really good to see. So what have we learned, people? Firstly, we've learned that this is an excellent engine in an excellent car, and I cannot be dissuaded of that. The turbo we put on, you could argue, was too small, but the amount of response that you can see on the screen, that we haven't even driven on the road yet, is awesome, and I really want that for this particular car. And on top of that, our little water spray experiment is successful. I'm no surprise. I mean, the factory puts them there for a reason.
It just works. So as soon as this thing's heat soaked, you've got no way of pulling that heat out of that cooler unless you cruise the car.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times you just don't have access to be able to do that. So if you're at the track and it's a really hot day, if you've got a top mount cooler with something that's got a very tiny turbocharger, it's not bad insurance to put something like that on and get more consistent power for longer until the ECU and all of the corrections we put in start pulling ignition timing, start adding fueling to protect the engine, because the intake air is simply, it's just too hot to start with.
Here's the thing, it's cheap to do. That even a really nice kit like that, a couple $100 you're talking about, it's one wire from the Haltech to trigger it via a relay or however else you do it. It's a bit of piping, it's reversible. There's one hole drilled in a shroud, and otherwise the car is fully as it was.
And you're away.
So
probably a hint on that. if you don't have an aftermarket engine management system, a Hobbs switch.
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember those?
Yeah.
Which is a tiny little thing that's got a little screw in the top. You remember that?
Yep, with hysteresis on it, you can choose.
Perfect.
all that
And you
stuff.
could set it up to trigger above 5 pounds, above 10. Nice,
Yeah.
simple little thing that you could use for a job you're doing at home.
Or you could do it this way.
And then this little sprayer here, if you keep an eyeball on that, when we release the pressure. Oh, sorry. Spray.
Look at it go. That's awesome. It's actually got quite a wide spray pattern too.
Actually does.
Go get yourself a weed
Go get yourself a weed sprayer, and then you can just
Give it a
do
good-
this. Just faff it up, get it all juiced up,
Give it a fat.
and then just spray it everywhere.
Oh, chopping an Evo. Yes, more boost.
Yeah, mate, that's a bit more awkward than that. Guy next to you has to pump the thing. But you can do it that way as well if you want to.
Press the button, however you do it, cheap insurance, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Those little nozzles, the sprayers, they're really good.
Yeah, and you get some pressure into them, it atomizes really well and works really well. So anyway, that's a total success. We did bring some ethanol with us, but we don't actually need it. That's the kind of thing you'd only do with a bigger turbo, and because this is still a factory location turbo, it's not that hard to upgrade. But honestly, I want to drive it like this. I want to absolutely dominate and destroy all Nissans, and I have the power to do it because it's about the same as what my good friend's 180 makes.
It pains me to say that this thing, yes, it's a Subaru engine, so I know it's
all that.
it's not as good as a Nissan, but it's got
me you on.
it's got
I already know the answer to that.
not this
I know
one.
the answer.
I like the car.
Yeah.
Look, it's got 14 pounds down low. It rolls over to 12 pounds up top.
Yeah.
Like, so if we say this has got an average of 13 pounds of boost in a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder, making 200 kilowatts at 4 wheels, comparatively, it's bloody healthy.
It should be. And it should have some real good torque down low. So, Scotty, thank you. It's actually been a really fun one today, and it didn't take that long. And we learned some stuff.
It's an absolute pleasure. The wiring part of it, the cam control,
Davo just-
having all of the cams
Chef's kiss.
configured and synchronized, flawless. Mate, it's a beautiful car that gets exactly what it deserves, and I do really respect this particular model.
Fantastic. All right, let's go. Got a Nissan to destroy.
What a mammoth effort it has been to put this car back together in such a short period of time. After blowing it up all those years ago, it did sit there a little bit neglected in the shed. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to rebuild it. We're going to put it back together. We're going to build the engine. And thanks to my good friend convincing me to actually just stick the 2.5 in there. It's, don't get it right, get it running is a theory that our good friend David Freiberger often talks about. It is running, but it is running so right. It is amazing on the street. It's punchy, the 2.5 litre capacity, plus that twin scroll turbo that my good friend got from me from Japan has made all the difference. There's a few other people that helped. Benny Mechanical Stig, Aaron, my friend Ian. More people that I can name that came and just gave me a hand. And of course, massive shout out to Davo, because he spent way much more time than he should have here helping me getting it done. And it started and it ran and we made it to the dyno and we made power. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to... If you're reading this letter, it means I've taken my cars and I'm gone. Good luck hanging out
with your Ram rating Subaru mates. I left you some basic tools, but I've taken all the head gaskets and I stole your dipstick. I'm going camping for the next 20 years and I'm going by myself. Meet me at the cemetery if you want to say goodbye, or grab some oil.
What are you doing?
Paying my respects
To who?
to your head gaskets,
Why?
because I'm going to chop your Subaru in my 180, and then I'm going to chop your Gemini with my 240.
Can I have my head gaskets at least?
Nope.